Is being an influencer worth it? In today's video, I want to discuss both the pros and the cons that come with this career. Yes, career. On average, influencers are making over $162,000 annually as a salary if done full-time here in the United States. And the reason I want to share that with you guys is because it is a career. And I think a lot of people, just like with any career choice, you're asking yourself, is it worth it? Is this something I should jump in and take seriously? Because again, a lot of people will be like, this looks easy, this looks fun, I want to be an influencer. And then they try posting for 3 months, they see no results and they quit. Like I see it time and time again. So what I really kind of want to break down is the good and the bad, right? Just like any career that you want to be. If you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever, there's pros and cons to everything to help you kind of make that decision if you're going to really take this seriously. Now, I say we start with the bad so we can end on the good, because if you guys don't know already, like obviously I'm team influencer, I'm team creator. I have a community of over 140,000 creators that I support and work with daily. And I started off on the brand side. So I actively manage influencer campaigns and paying creators. And like, I just believed in this industry forever and ever and ever, been featured on tons of press, all that jazz. But I do see the bad, and I see it because I deal with clients all the time that are kind of like coming to me with some issues. I think the biggest one is inconsistent income, right? Even if you were killing it, I have friends that are at the top of their influencer game, literally making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. And they'll still be like, oh my God, like, yeah, this month was bad, right? Like I had an inconsistent month. Now, their bad may still be amazing for you, but it's inconsistent nonetheless. And that's because there is seasonality around this industry. Like sometimes you will see that some months are better and some months just aren't. Also, when you think about like inconsistent income, that kind of also leads to another con, which is very algorithm dependent, right? So when you are an influencer and you are working and you're doing sponsored content, you're kind of in a space where you're like, oh my God, is this going to flop? Is this going to do well? Like, what if it does bad, right? I'm depending on an algorithm. What I like to kind of think like the Wizard of Oz, right? Behind the screen, we don't know what the algorithm is. People study it. They try to understand it on all these platforms. At the end of the day, no one really knows, right? And I think that is a scary part of the pie when you start to think about the risk of getting involved in this is like, how much do you really control? And that's why a lot of the creators that I work with do build their own email lists, right? Or do set up their own websites and do set up their own systems so that they own that real estate. A huge, major thing, con, call it what you want, in this industry is pressure and burnout. And we're going to lump those together. Again, I am working with people who are doing this full time, who are super serious, but you see the pressure to create, to be consistent, to not really feel like you can take days off or time off because your life is to show your life. Like that's your job. And I've seen burnout, and I've seen really bad cases of burnout, and I've seen what it can do to someone psychologically, mentally, physically, all the things. And I do think that any high pressure job does have an element of burnout to it if you don't protect yourself. There's also a little bit of like privacy concerns for some creators. Yes, they want the limelight, they want the fame, they want the exposure, but then they're like, wait a second, like, am I getting known? Like, should I be worried about like my kids' privacy, my information getting leaked, my private information getting leaked? I've seen, again, kind of that growth curve as creators start getting more and more serious and really making this a job. The element of like, taking your safety seriously and your privacy does become something that starts to affect you as you grow. And something I think like no one talks about, and only influencers who are doing this full time will actually understand, is the isolating feeling you can feel. Not only just because you're creating content like at home potentially, or you're like, whatever, you're kind of like owning your own business. The isolation from friends and family, I've seen like a lot of influencers actually tell me like they've lost friends due to like weird things like jealousy or like just, I don't know, fallouts. Now, is that due to the influencer space or what they do? Or is it, personal? I don't know, but I've seen that come up time and time again. It's something I never really understood or saw, but I guess it comes with the level of success and fame. But let's get to the good stuff, because if you're able to kind of deal with the cons, right, and making your decision, if the pros outweigh the cons, you're good. This is the space for you. If the cons I listed outweigh the pros, then this is probably not the space for you. But let's talk about the good. I think the first thing that just comes to mind is ultimate freedom and creativity. Let's put those two together. They could be separate pros, but I want to clump them together. Freedom because, being able to be your own boss, set your own schedule, really decide your earning potential. There's not a salary. There's not someone saying, oh, you can make more by, getting promoted. There's no cap. Like, you are responsible for your future, for your financial situation. There is a really wonderful element of freedom. And freedom is something so different for so many of you. Like, some of you may be like being able to pick your kids up at school. That's the ultimate freedom, or working from home or whatever, right? Traveling more. There's that. But then there's also the creativity. Like, there is data out there that says that influencers and social media, like mental health, all that. But honestly, there's also data that shows creators who post and who create are actually happier than those who just sit and consume, which makes sense, right? Like, if you're just sitting and consuming all day, you're like depressed. But if you're out there creating and being creative and an artist, your soul is on fire, and that level of happiness like bursts through the roof, right? Because you're literally doing what you love and you're getting paid to do that. Let's talk about getting paid. Monetization, money. Being an influencer is financially very rewarding if you are doing this full time. You are working with brands you love. You're getting paid by the brands that you love to create content. You're doing talent jobs. You're doing production jobs. You're doing creative ambassador jobs. Like, there's so much more, right? That I've seen creators kind of develop their own brands, right? Sell their own stuff. So it's really, the sky's the limit when it comes to monetization. Now, if you are a creator that wants to monetize, especially when it comes to brand deals, come to my next free live training. I host them all the time. This training is going to rock your world. It's going to help you pitch to brands and have them say yes to getting you paid. And I think for a lot of people, like, the impact that you can make as an influencer, right, is a huge pro. Like, you could literally change the world in so many ways, especially if you're using your influence for good and you're using it to bring awareness to certain things. I think a lot of people find that part very, very rewarding, along with the flexible schedule, right? We talked about freedom, but that encompasses that flexible schedule of being able to decide how much you want to work and when you want to work. Now, ultimately, am I going to tell you, is it worth it? It's really a personality thing. I see how hard it is. And I personally can't imagine sharing so much about my life in some areas or having to be on all the time. So I can see the hard part of it. I think a lot of people don't see the hard part. They're just like, oh, you're just making videos, you're posting, it's easy, but they don't see the work. But if you're willing to push through and get through it, I think the results on the other side are very exciting. Like I said, guys, if you're interested in more content like this, make sure you subscribe to our channel, like this video. Let me know in the comments, do the pros outweigh the cons? Are you thinking about joining this industry? Is this something that you yourself want to get into? What's holding you back? If so, is it one of the cons I mentioned? I want to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.